This happy 11-year-old boy is doing what every child his age should be doing. He's laughing and smiling, playing in the front yard without a care in the world. But just last month, in an instant, this young boy was forced to become a man when he bravely rushed to his mother's side while his father choked her unconscious and continued to violently squeeze her throat as she laid lifeless.
My husband's temper gets to the point of no return. It's scary. One day, my husband was so full of rage, he's in my face and coming at me.
Janette grabbed a picture frame off the wall and then smashed it over my head.
He headbutted me in the nose. Blood gushed everywhere.
I grabbed her by the throat and the arm and threw her to the ground.
My dad pinned her down and was like choking her.
He puts his weight on me. I can feel him on top of my body, and his hands come down around my throat, tighter and tighter and tighter until everything kind of went dark and I blacked out. Cole was screaming at Clint and telling him, "Stop, Dad, stop."
I heard him say, "Get off my mom right now." Then about 5 seconds later, I heard thud, thud, thud. I was so angry. I pounded on him a couple of times with my fist. I'm just gonna full out tackle him off.
My 11-year-old son is trying to stop his 6'1" father from beating on me.
It just terrified me.
Cole was very brave to put himself in that position. If Cole hadn't stopped Clint, I could have died.
I wish I could say that vicious attack was an isolated incident, but according to Janette, it wasn't. She actually fears that Clint's abuse might turn deadly.
I can tell when my husband's about to explode. His skin gets blotchy, fists get clenched, veins will bulge out. He transforms like the Hulk. He gets a look in his eyes that's emotionless. Clint has headbutted me. He hit my nose so hard, I thought it may be broken. He's kicked me in the hip and the ribs. Once I had blood gushing from my nose, I took a big breath and blood went everywhere. On his face, on his chest. I wanted to make a point. I'm injured to the point where I'm gushing blood. One time he chased me, threw me to the ground, grabbed my neck. He has called me every name in the book. He'll call me a stupid, a piece of shit. When Clint loses that much control over his anger, I don't know what will stop him. Eventually, somebody's gonna die.
You know, Clint actually doesn't deny getting physical with his wife, but he says Janette pushes, nags, and provokes him until he can't take it anymore and just snaps.
Janette knows what buttons to push to make me angry. She'll call me a fat, lazy piece of crap. She'll threaten to take the kids. She's trying to get a reaction out of me. She'll yell at me, break things around the house. She'll do whatever it takes to make me angry. She needs to know when to back off. She just doesn't know when to quit. Janette should be afraid of me when I get that angry. She has a lack of respect for me as a man and the head of the household.
I actually made a list of the things you told us for your reasons for getting physical with Janette. Now, these are your words, not mine or hers. These are your words. You said Janette knows what pushing me is going to do.
Yeah.
You said Janette's tone is enough to set me off. And what you're talking about is her sarcasm.
Yes.
That seems kind of hair-triggered. If somebody's sarcastic with you, you've choked her unconscious on 2 occasions, you've hit her, that seems like a pretty hair-trigger. You said she's overly dramatic and knows exactly what buttons to push. You say she instigates most of our fights. She wants to get a reaction out of me. She's not happy until she makes me mad. She likes to corner me and needs to back up and back off. Is that accurate? You can't change what you don't acknowledge, and maybe this does need to change. Maybe this identifies her as the problem, but what do you think about that as you see it all compiled together?
That's pretty much what she does.
You also said she should be afraid of me when I get angry, because I lose it.
I do. I have anger issues, and
so she's right to be afraid. When you're mad.
When I get pushed to that point.
Right. Now, what do you think about this list he's given us? He said these are the reasons for getting physical with you.
I would say that describes me pretty well. I get on his case. I won't let it go. I am after him and after him.
Do you believe that that justifies him headbutting you till you're spewing blood, choking you into unconsciousness on multiple occasions?
No.
He's headbutted you, slammed you into walls, and knocked the wind out of you. That he has hit, kicked, slapped you on numerous occasions, slammed his entire body into you, restrained your hands behind your back, thrown you to the ground, jumps on top of you, tells you, I will knock your teeth out. So he uses his size to intimidate you and calls you every name in the book.
Yeah.
Now, is that true, or are you making that up?
No, that's true.
Is that true, or is she making that up?
No, it's true.
You wrote me 2 letters in one day. And in both of those letters, there was an interesting phenomenon. You buried the lead. You sent me 2 letters, and in both of them, same pattern. You start off telling me how great everything is, and then, oh, by the way, I'm getting beat within an inch of my life. I'm getting choked to unconsciousness. And, oh, by the way, our 3 children are watching.
It's hard to say it out loud.
Next, from vulgar name-calling to choking to a huge knot on the head, Janet says her 3 children are also victims of Clint's violent rages, but is she also guilty of mistreating them? We'll talk about all of that after the break.
Clint's favorite thing seems to be to go for the throat, whether it's me or the kids. He gets right in their face, he screams, spit comes out, fists are clenched. My kids are afraid of their dad.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil, a troubled teen.
You've written journal entries. I could kill them, but in a gruesome, painful way.
Acting out sexually.
You are very uncomfortable with Danielle being around your children.
Yes.
Because she has been inappropriate.
Several times.
And the family.
She says she doesn't want to live with you, so you send her to someone else?
Is passing the blame.
I know what you're not doing as a mother. You're the biggest liar, hypocrite.
That's tomorrow.
We got into an argument, and we had the goldfish bowl. She took the bowl and threw it at me, and it hit the linoleum and broke. The fish were flopping around. I went to pick one of them up, and she stomped on it before I could get it. Fish was the collateral damage in that one.
You were stomping goldfish to death?
Yeah.
Why is that funny to you?
Well, it's dumb. It's really just, it's irrelevant to me. Like,
see, I'm trying to get that's what I said, I'm trying to get a sense of y'all's normal.
Out of everything that was happening, the stuff getting thrown and whatever, and he's worried about a fish. There's no communication going on. There's no fixing things. There's no, I'm sorry, I chucked this at you. It's, we got to save the poor fish's life. And so I stepped on the fish out of spite, out of resentment for the fact that I wasn't getting through to him. He wasn't hearing me. He wasn't.
Okay, I asked her if she felt like the things that she was doing, nagging you, pestering you, with the list we went over, if that, in her mind, justified your reaction of getting physical with her. What do you think?
I don't think it's right, and I don't think a man should ever get physical with his wife, and especially with our kids, I don't want to mess my kids up. I don't want them to see the things we're going through, and that was the biggest reason I agreed to try and fix this, and I want to fix things between Janette and I.
Well, since you brought that up, Janette says her greatest fear is that I will tell her to leave her husband, who she describes as extremely angry and violent. But what Janette should be most concerned about is me having her 3 children removed from this violent home after hearing how they are being mistreated, because you gave me every reason why she triggers you, provokes you, backs you into a corner, and she winds up getting physically abused. Let's talk about the children. Take a look at this.
Clint has also gotten physically, mentally, verbally abusive with the kids. Clint's favorite thing seems to be to go for the throat. Whether it's me or the kids, it's both hands right around the throat. He grabbed Cole by the throat and slammed him against his headboard. Haley told him, "Dad, stop. You need to stop." And he turned around and cocked his fist back. That's the first time that she's ever actually feared her father. He has called my oldest daughter a whore. He's told my son that he's a lazy piece of crap. If they talk back to him, he'll tell them, "I'm gonna freaking kill you." He gets right in their face, he screams, his face turns red and spit comes out, fists are clenched, and puffs his chest out until they back down.
I got angry with my oldest daughter. I grabbed her and threw her to the ground. She hit her head, got a goosebump on the back of her head.
She had a concussion. It's a little excessive discipline. I think things are getting out of hand. I'm the one that decided that this was the man that was going to be the father of my children, and now my kids are afraid of their dad.
How do you feel about that?
Pretty horrible. There's a lot of things that led up to it. My daughter ran away. We were bringing her home, and she was disrespecting her mother, and she got up on her mom and was pushing her, and so I got out of the car and I grabbed her and I went to put her to the ground, and I didn't mean to hit her head on the ground, but I did, and we got her back up and took her home, and
So she's getting up in her mother's face.
yeah.
Wonder where she learned that.
I'm sure she learned it from me.
No, I mean, from both of you.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, although I think you would fit nicely in terms of your conduct, but both of you are modeling this behavior for your children, right? You're both modeling get up in the face, yell, scream, fight, kick, punch, wrestle, throw, whatever. The children learn what they live. This is what you're modeling for those children, right?
Yeah.
You have picked the 11-year-old up by the throat. He has begged, "No, Dad, I'm sorry. Please, please don't hurt me." Do you consider yourself to be a child abuser?
I don't.
Do you consider yourself to be a child abuser?
I don't.
You do not. Do you consider yourself to be a child abuser?
I don't.
So you slapped her twice, right?
I did.
Okay, let's take a look at the definition of child abuse in Montana. And we're going to look at this versus your behavior and your behavior as a couple. Number one, inflicts or allows physical abuse, physical neglect, or psychological abuse or neglect. You either inflict it or you allow it. So you've inflicted and allowed, correct?
Yeah.
And you've inflicted and allowed. I'm just talking about the definition. You threaten the kids, "I'm going to kick your ass. Don't mouth off to me. I will kill you." Calls the 15-year-old an whore. Cocked fist at the 14-year-old daughter, told to shut up when tried to stop you from hurting brother Cole. Right?
Yes.
Let me introduce this gentleman down here. This is Dr. Charles Sophie. He's a member of our advisory board, and he's also the medical director for the LA County Department of Child and Family Services. It's the largest Department of Child and Family Services in the entire United States. He is a board-certified psychiatrist. He's the chief medical director of the kind of department that deals with what we're talking about. Dr. Sophie, we've talked only about threats and what they have been allowed to see and hear. From your standpoint as a psychiatrist and a medical director, grade their paper.
Flunk, both of you. You're not protecting your kids. You're abusing your kids physically, emotionally, psychologically. They shouldn't be around either one of you until you get it together.
Is this a close call?
Absolutely not. It's very clear. It's physical, it's emotional, it's intellectual, it's psychological. Those kids are scared. They're running away to get away. They're healthy. They're trying to get out of this mess that they're in.
They're running from the chaos.
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about the physical abuse here. You have picked the 11-year-old up by the throat and slammed against the wall or a bed frame.
Yes.
Okay. He has begged, "No, Dad, I'm sorry. Please, please don't hurt me." You've pushed the 15-year-old daughter into the side of the car and onto the ground, which said you didn't mean for her to hit her head on the ground. And you didn't take her to the hospital. No. She has a visible knot on her head. You didn't take her because you're afraid they would report it, correct?
Partly. Part of it was I was waiting to see if there were any other signs or symptoms of a concussion.
Yeah, wait till she seizes up or something. Let's look at the next prong of this Montana definition. Commits or allows the commission or acts of violence against another person residing in the child's home. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because this has to stop, Clint. What I see in your future is your kids are gone, because no objective thinking individual would allow children to continue to exist in this violent, volatile, and dangerous environment. And by the way, I am a mandated reporter.
I know.
So I either have to have comfort that there's a plan in place, or I have to report this and they do whatever investigation they want to do. What's in your future is prison, because you're going to hurt her if she decided right now to just file charges on everything that you have already done. I mean, that is aggravated assault on multiple occasions. I don't want that to happen to you, Clint. I want you a year from now to say, that old bald-head sumbitch gave me a wake-up call.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to give you a wake-up call here. You're going to go to jail if this doesn't change. When we come back, we're going to hear what Janette and Clint's two youngest children have to say, and why their 11-year-old son says, well, maybe he deserves to be hurt by his father.
Dad physically abuses Cole. When I do something wrong, I think I deserve it. Dad has choked Cole before. It scared me because I could see that Cole was very, very scared.
Imagine being a child and living every day petrified that your parents are going to get into a violent fight, or they're going to have a divorce, or your father is going to hurt you. Well, sadly, that is a tragic reality for my guests, Janette and Clint's children, who say they've watched their father physically attack their mother, nearly killing her. But it's how their father treats them that has them even more scared.
Dad physically abuses Cole. He'll sometimes choke him or grab him by the collar and kind of toss him around. That's basically his way of disciplining me. He bangs like my head on my headboard of my bed. Dad has choked Cole before. It scared me because I could see that Cole was very, very scared. So I said, stop it, and he didn't stop. So I hit him in the shoulder and I said, stop it. And he spun around and he raised his fist like he was gonna hit me. And I just hid my face because I didn't know if he was actually gonna do it. Both of them physical with me. When I do something wrong, I think I deserve it. My mom smacks my cheek, like, just, it scares me.
Dad doesn't seem like the person who would be physical.
Yeah.
I think that's why it scares us so much, is because if he gets frustrated or angry, it's just a completely different person that comes out.
My mom and dad fight.
We were both downstairs in our rooms, and I heard screaming, and then I heard a thump. And I heard, "You stupid," and I was like, what the heck? And so I ran upstairs, and Mom was bleeding from her nose, and Dad came out, and he was holding his head, and he was also bleeding. When I saw her bleeding, it scared me, and I was crying because I thought maybe he had hit her. I'd never seen them to where they actually made each other bleed before. That kind of freaked me out.
I always get scared that they're gonna get a divorce, and I don't want that to happen.
I guess I'm a horrible dad, and I want to fix things.
We've been trying.
That changes what your children are experiencing. That changes what they're saying. That changes their pain.
I don't want you to think that that's our normal. You wanted to know what our normal is, and...
You don't know what I think. It's worse than you fear. Did you hear your son say, I guess I deserve to be hurt?
I did, yeah.
What do you say to yourself when you heard him say that?
That he doesn't deserve to be treated like that. None of them do.
Would you like to know one of the reasons that I know you do it?
Sure.
Because you can. Makes you sound like a coward and a bully.
Exactly.
To be jumping on women and children.
Yeah.
You're a better man than that.
I know I am. I guess inside I do.
Will you get yourself to the point that with sincerity you can look them in the eye and say, I'm sorry I lost my way. I owe you an apology. I'm sorry I lost my way. Because I will help you get to that point.
Nothing means more to me than my family.
How about we resolve to fix this together?
I would love that.
Let's take a quick break. I want to add someone to this conversation because I want to change the trajectory of this family. It can get worse, but it can also get a whole lot better. We'll be right back.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil, a troubled teen.
You've written journal entries. I could kill them, but in a gruesome, painful way.
Acting out sexually.
You are very uncomfortable with Danielle being around your children.
Yes.
Because she has been inappropriate.
Several times.
And the family
She says she doesn't want to live with you, so you send her to someone else?
is passing the blame.
I know what you're not doing as a mother. You're the biggest liar, hypocrite.
That's tomorrow.
I teach family dynamics at Whitehall High School. My favorite resource is Robin McGraw's Aspire curriculum.
So take a look at this. What's the real deal on abuse? That's where we define what abuse is.
It puts things in a perspective that teens can understand. It's important for them to learn how to have a healthy relationship.
I am asking you to join me to help stop abuse of any kind.
We've learned a lot about relationships, dating, how to know if you're in a toxic or an abusive relationship.
What are the different types of abuse in a relationship?
Physical. A lot of kids think that abuse is physical.
Your significant other wants you to spend all of your free time with him or her and even ask that you skip your family event. Love or abuse? Good job.
Thank you, Robin. The Aspire curriculum has already saved many lives in my school, and I can't wait to see what it does in the future.
Thank you, Robin and Dr. Phil.
Robin, Robin, how do you feel about seeing all the hard work that you've done being used in many schools, but that school, for example?
Oh, that was just beautiful. That's exactly why I went to the experts and asked them to help me put that curriculum together so that the schools could benefit and all those young children could be educated like that. I love it. I'm so proud.
Yeah, I would say. If you don't know, Robin created the Aspire Initiative, which is an interactive program designed to stop domestic violence. And by the way, this is available on the internet. It is free. It is available in English and Spanish, and it's designed for 3 groups: tweens, teens, and young adults, and for us grown-ups as well. Each group has its own custom curriculum, so I would love for your children to actually go through this, and we'll help them do that. There is no theory under which a man should ever put his hands on a woman in anger. I don't care what happens. She says she can tell when you're getting angry. She said she can see your face get red, your jaw sets, your veins pop out in your neck. And if she can see it, you can see it. And that first physical sign can either be a cue for coping or a cue for meltdown. I'm going to help you where you get to the point where you feel your ears getting red. You can go, whoa, okay. I got a choice to make right here. I can either go through the coping sequence that Dr. Phil helped me learn, or I can melt down and go in there and start shoving and hitting people. And I got a choice to make right now. You don't wait until you're backed in the closet and she's yelling and screaming and things are going crazy and chaotic. You know it before anybody else does because you feel it here, you feel it here, right? You get the cues.
I do.
And yes, if you've got a choice to make, you come to a fork in the road, abuse or cope, but I got to give you a coping road. And if I do that, you're going to embrace it, aren't you?
I will.
I believe that. All right, next, she says the decision to leave her abusive boyfriend left her fighting for her life. You know, there's something we call separation assault, and it is perhaps the most dangerous time in an abusive relationship because when you start to get away from your abuser, they panic and they step up the grip and the control. We're going to meet her when we come back.
I'm like doused with a big pot of oil. And I'm like, what are you doing? And I'm just screaming. And he's like, that's what you get, bitch. I just wanted to die.
Next guest, Lindsay, says she spent every day petrified of a boyfriend she says left bruises all over her body on a weekly, sometimes daily basis. Take a look at this.
I noticed a change in him once we moved in together. He started becoming more controlling, more aggressive. He would say, where were you? Why aren't you home at this time? He asked me to change my phone number. So no other males or friends would contact me. He just didn't want me having a life outside him. Ryan was with me always at home, and we worked together on the same schedule. I never had any time by myself. He had control of me. He wanted to know everything I was doing. He wanted to know step by step. I didn't have a cell phone. He took it away. It was like I was like behind bars living with him. The abuse started happening daily. It just seemed like everything I was doing was wrong. If his clothes weren't laid out, I was in trouble. If his towel wasn't laid out, like I was in trouble. We got to the point where like I was like walking on eggshells. When I got pregnant with my first daughter, his controlling went up from a 2 to a 10. He didn't care pregnant or not. He started to hit me, push me, shove me, call me names. After my daughter was born, I started fighting back. We just had a very abusive relationship from that point on. He couldn't keep his hands off me. He dragged me from the kitchen to the bedroom by my hair. He hit me, kicked me. I got a black eye, got a busted lip. Like, I just had like bruises all down my legs and on my back. He told me he would take my body and throw it in a wood chipper.
no one ever find me. He's like, you think you're pretty? He's like, I'm gonna slash smiley face, like across my face. There was another time Ryan got into a really big altercation, and that's where like our relationship started coming to an end. I was going to bed, and I like rolled over and told him to like shut the hell up, like leave me alone and go to sleep. And then he hit me on the side of the face, and I had like a hand mark on my face. Like I'd never seen stars before. I'm like, you have until April 15th to get out. Like, start packing your I'm done.
But when Lindsay finally put her foot down and said, enough is enough, her life changed forever.
I went to bed at probably about 10 o'clock. And for some reason, I was sleeping on his side of the bed. I just see like the hall light on, and he's like standing there. And I was about ready like to turn like back to see like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like doused with a big pot of oil. And I just like get up and I just like, you burned me. Like, you burned me. I'm like, what are you doing? And I'm just screaming. And he's like, that's what you get, bitch. And I run over to my neighbors, just banging on the door. I'm looking at the door and I'm just seeing skin and blood just everywhere. They opened the door and they had no idea who it was. They couldn't even recognize me. What was so bad about the grease is that he cooked with it. He cooked chicken and French fries. So now it's like the salmonella. Now I'm like, my skin's like now like really infected. And they gave me 48 hours to live. I spent 136 days in ICU. I had 26 surgeries and 3 reconstruction surgeries. I can't tell you how many blood transfusions I had. I got 3rd and 4th grade of burns, so it went down to my muscle. I was burned 65% of my body. I just wanted to die. I didn't want to be here anymore. It took me 6 months and 6 days looking in the mirror. When I finally looked into the mirror, I was in disbelief.
Well, Lindsay is here today and says she has a lot in common with Janette. Lindsay, please come on out. Lindsay, so good to meet you. So good to meet you. This is Clint.
Hi.
This is Janette. Lindsay, this is the first time that you've been out and presented yourself publicly since this took place, correct?
Correct.
And you have had how many surgeries?
26 and 3 reconstruction.
26 surgeries and 3 reconstructions.
Yeah.
You said for 6 months you put sheets over the mirrors.
Yeah.
Because you
I didn't want to see what I looked like.
You just didn't want to see yourself and see what you look like.
Not at all.
What do you have to say to these two?
I just hope you just take the tools and you just see that his rage can go to a 2 to a 10 real quick. And like backstage, I just wanted to like reach out and hug you and just let you know that everything's gonna be okay and that there's help out there for you. Love doesn't hurt.
Will you take this help?
Absolutely.
Okay. You've made it very clear that you will.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hold you to that, man to man. Okay. All right. Next, Robin and I have a very important announcement about our mission to help end the silence on domestic violence. Find out what coming up after the break. In the hour that it took to tape this show, nearly 100 women will have been abused by their partners. That is why Robin and myself have made it our mission to help end the silence on domestic violence. Earlier in the show, you heard about Robin's Aspire initiative. Well, she also created what is called the Aspire News app. And here's what one mom has to say about it.
Robin, I need to thank you so much for creating the Aspire app. I lived with domestic abuse for over 17 years, and this is a resource that I definitely would have been able to use. The fact that you can capture an abusive situation through audio is something that is going to help so many women.
When my mom told me about it, I downloaded it right away. My favorite part of all is that at any page, you can hit it 3 times and it'll send a text saying SOS, your location, and a message to your emergency contacts.
All right, now push the Get Help button. Then it gives the location of where you are, so now I know where you are. It sends me the audio, so I can listen to what's going on in the mic. And then here, it says SOS, your friend is requesting your assistance. I sincerely thank you for creating something like this, for keeping women like me and my daughters safe.
I'd just like to really thank you.
The Aspire app is going to save women's lives.
Okay. Yeah. So isn't it great to hear stories from around the country on what you've been doing?
Yes.
Because you've worked so hard on it.
So rewarding. And that is exactly why I did it. Yes, I love it.
Okay, let's talk about this Aspire News app. And we're not going to show it for reasons you'll understand in a second. But the Aspire Initiative is the interactive program we talked about before. But then she created this Aspire app, which is disguised as an everyday app on your phone. In other words, it doesn't say what it is.
No.
But it has something called?
It has something called the Go button. And you hit this Go button when your abuser is attacking you, or you can even see the signs. We talked about earlier in the show. When their face gets red, you know it's about to happen. You hit that Go button. Your friends are alerted. They know now to come and interrupt the abuse.
See, here's the thing. A lot of times you may be in a situation and you're not ready to call 911. You think it's going to blow the situation up. But what you can do, and I mean, it's just on your phone. You don't even have to look. There's this Go button. You just touch it 3 times in a row so it doesn't happen by accident. Bing, bing, bing. And it sends out these messages automatically to your mom or to your friend, or it could be 911.
Multiple. You can decide who you want to have the message go to.
And it does something else the minute you tap it 3 times.
The minute you tap it 3 times, it also starts recording what's going on in the room. There's no light that tells the abuser that it's being recorded. There's not a sound. You can't hear it being recorded, but it is recording what's going on in the room. So, and that's used in case when the police, if you do call the police and your abuser says, no, she started it. And you go, well, no, actually, I have a recording of everything that went on in the room.
Let's play this. And that has been so helpful to many people. So we want you to have this. It's all free, of course. For more information about the Aspire Initiative and the Aspire News app, you want to go to whengeorgiasmiled.org or drphil.com. And When Georgia Smiled is Robin's foundation that is solely devoted to helping women and children in domestic violence situations. And so you can find it there. You can find it on drphil.com.
Yes.
Now, Robin and I are very excited to announce that this fall, Verizon is going to partner with Robin's Foundation, When Georgia Smiled, to host a follow-up to its groundbreaking 2013 Summit on Domestic Violence Prevention, a day to connect, inspire, and heal.
This one-day event will take place here on the Dr. Phil stage. Hundreds of leaders in the domestic violence field from across the country will be invited to attend, and we'll hear from thought-provoking speakers and discuss current issues in domestic violence.
And I'm proud to introduce Jay Jaffin, who is the Vice President of the West Area Marketing for Verizon. He's going to come out and join us. Jay, we're really looking forward to this. Come on out. Good to meet you, man.
Great to meet you.
Robin.
Pleasure to meet you.
Well, listen, we could not be more excited than to be partnering with Verizon on all of this, because, I mean, you've been here today, and it's just a typical story, right?
I tell you, this was a tough day. You know, you guys should be applauded not only for the work you're doing through the foundation, but breaking the silence. You know, that is such a big part of it.
And people know what we do, but the reason we're so excited about Verizon is because, I mean, you hear about corporations, but then there are corporations with a conscience. And let me tell you, Verizon is an absolute leader in that regard. Can you tell us a little bit about Verizon's work and programs that help victims of domestic violence?
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. I mean, you think about, you know, for us, It's about two primary goals within the domestic violence space. It's about education, and shows like this help with that. And, we've got to make sure that we're educating folks to see the early signs of domestic violence so you don't get to that stage 10 or even the stage 7. And then, empowerment, and that's really what the Hope Line program's about. We've been doing this for, since 2001, and we have collected 10 million used phones. And what we're able to do with that is we could either turn them into cash grants for organizations that can help victims themselves, or literally turn the phones into lifelines. So we provide the phones to victims and families with service so that they could, they could get out of that situation. Yeah.
It is such an honor that my brand new foundation that has just recently launched, that you would partner with me and with us and do this. And I just want to thank you so much. And I know there are a lot of women and children out there that would benefit from this. Thank you.
As you all know, Robin has been working tirelessly on developing her new purpose-driven lifestyle brand called Robin McGraw Revelation. And say what you've done with the lip gloss.
I'm very, very proud to say I have created a lip gloss collection called Avery Lasting Love, named after our granddaughter Avery. And the first lip gloss to be released is called the Erica, after Avery's mother and our new daughter-in-law, Erica.
And what's important is I want you guys to go buy this, and I'll tell you why. 100% of the net profits from Robin's lip gloss line are being donated to the foundation When Georgia Smiled, and every dollar will go directly to help women and children who are victims of domestic violence. So.
And everyone in the audience today is going home with the Erica lip gloss.
Oh, so the audience gets it all.
Yes.
All right, so you guys do. All right, log on to RobinMcGrawRevelation.com to learn more. And if you or someone you know is in an abusive relationship and needs help, please pick up the phone and call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. So please do that if you need it or someone that you know does. I really want to thank all of my guests today, and a special thanks to Dr. Charles Sophie. Doctor, thank you so much for being here and for all the work. And a special, special thanks to Jay and to Verizon for becoming our partner in this domestic violence case. Jay, thank you so much. All right, thanks. We'll see you next time. This happy 11-year-old boy is doing what every child his age should be doing. He's laughing and smiling, playing in the front yard without a care in the world. But just last month, in an instant, this young boy was forced to become a man when he bravely rushed to his mother's side while his father choked her unconscious and continued to violently squeeze her throat as she laid lifeless.
My husband's temper gets to the point of no return. It's scary. One day, my husband was so full of rage, he's in my face and coming at me.
Janette grabbed a picture frame off the wall and then smashed it over my head.
He headbutted me in the nose. Blood gushed everywhere.
I grabbed her by the throat and the arm and threw her to the ground.
My dad pinned her down and was like choking her.
He puts his weight on me. I can feel him on top of my body, and his hands come down around my throat, tighter and tighter and tighter until everything kind of went dark and I blacked out. Cole was screaming at Clint and telling him, "Stop, Dad, stop."
I heard him say, "Get off my mom right now." Then about 5 seconds later, I heard thud, thud, thud. I was so angry. I pounded on him a couple of times with my fist. I'm just gonna full out tackle him off.
My 11-year-old son is trying to stop his 6'1" father from beating on me.
It just terrified me.
Cole was very brave to put himself in that position. If Cole hadn't stopped Clint, I could have died.
I wish I could say that vicious attack was an isolated incident, but according to Janette, it wasn't. She actually fears that Clint's abuse might turn deadly.
I can tell when my husband's about to explode. His skin gets blotchy, fists get clenched, veins will bulge out. He transforms like the whole, he gets a look in his eyes that's emotionless. Clint has headbutted me. He hit my nose so hard I thought it may be broken. He's kicked me in the hip and the ribs. Once I had blood gushing from my nose. I took a big breath and blood went everywhere. On his face, on his chest. I wanted to make a point. I'm injured to the point where I'm gushing blood. One time he chased me, threw me to the ground, grabbed my neck. He has called me every name in the book. He'll call me a stupid, a piece of shit. When Clint loses that much control over his anger, I don't know what will stop him. Eventually, somebody's gonna die.
You know, Clint actually doesn't deny getting physical with his wife, but he says Janette pushes, nags, and provokes him until he can't take it anymore and just snaps.
Janette knows what buttons to push to make me angry. She'll call me a fat, lazy piece of crap. She'll threaten to take the kids. She's trying to get a reaction out of me. She'll yell at me, break things around the house. She'll do whatever it takes to make me angry. She needs to know when to back off. She just doesn't know when to quit. Janette should be afraid of me when I get that angry. She has a lack of respect for me as a man and the head of the household.
I actually made a list of the things you told us for your reasons for getting physical with Janette. Now, these are your words, not mine or hers. These are your words. You said Janette knows what pushing me is going to do.
Yeah.
You said Janette's tone is enough to set me off. And what you're talking about is her sarcasm.
Yes.
That seems kind of hair-triggered if somebody's sarcastic.